Let's continue with this question number 3. Okay. Now, I have a child and an adult sitting on similar swings shown in diagram 2. State Newton's first law of motion. Okay. Newton's first law of motion says what? Newton's first law of motion says that if something is not moving, what will happen to the object? If there is something that is not moving, then the object will continue to do what? Continue to not move lah. Right now, yeah? Continue to remain stationary lah. Okay? Now, if the object is already moving, then what will happen to the object? If the object is already moving, then it will continue to move forever and ever and ever. Understand or not? Okay? Now, this thing, right? Okay, you can write it like this. You can say an object will do what? An object will remain. Okay, now stationary is one of the ways you can say it. Remain at rest is another way you can say it. Okay, so an object will remain stationary or remain at rest. Okay, or remain what? Or it can remain moving with uniform speed. Okay, it can remain moving with uniform velocity. Okay, unless what happened? Yes, correct. Unless there is another force come and kacau him. So unless acted on or acted upon by an external force. Okay, means got another outside force come and kacau. Then only it will change basically. Okay, unless acted on by an external force. Okay, now if both of this child and the adult, they are given the same push, who is more difficult to move? They are both not moving yet. Yeah, they are just both sitting on the swing only. Who is more difficult to move? Who is more difficult to move? Adult not the small kid The adult, you can say, hey, you swing yourself lah, then move already ma. You see, I can voice control. Voice control easier ma, right? The adult, you just say, nah, you just swing yourself. Okay? Then the kid, you have to actually move yourself. No, still the adult. Okay? So the adult is harder to move. Okay, then who is harder to stop? Who is harder to stop? Don't get cheated by the question, okay? Don't think just because, just now the first answer is adult, then the second one must be child. No, the answer is still the adult. The adult is still harder to stop, okay? Remember, I gave you the example of the lorry and the bicycle. If the lorry and the bicycle are both moving towards you, the lorry is harder to stop. But if the lorry and the bicycle are both not moving, then the lorry is harder to move also. Okay, remember why or not? Because of something called what? This is because of what? Something called what? Yeah, something called inertia. Remember, the lorry, he's like that one. He's, I don't want to move. I don't want to stop. Okay, so whatever you ask him to do, he also do one. Because he want to do whatever he's doing right now. He want to maintain. Okay, so the adult is also like that. I don't want to swing. And then when he swing already, he said, I don't want to stop. Okay, but the kid is like, I don't want to swing. Oh, you push me, then I swing already. Okay, so adult is harder to stop and harder to move because the adult has greater mass, so he has greater inertia. Okay? The adult has greater mass, so he has greater inertia. Make sense or not? Yeah. Now, next one. This is an experiment with a hacksaw blade. Hacksaw blade is like a metal ruler lah. Yeah. You just imagine it is like a metal ruler, and then you stick a piece of plasticine at the end of the metal ruler. Okay. Now, when I swing it, I just pull and then I let go because the metal ruler will go doing, 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 doing like that. Ma. The plasticine, right, will actually cause it to like change to vibrate differently lah. Okay. So the one with the 50-gram mass, you can see the period. Period means time taken for one oscillation. So that means toing is one oscillation. The toing is how long? Okay. So 1 second means every second toing, 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 toing. But this one with the heavier one, right? This one, the period is 2 seconds. That means it's like that. Toing, 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 like that. So it's a bit slower, right? So when oscillated, both hacksaw blades oscillate with different periods of oscillation. Take the correct answer. Period of oscillation is a scalar or vector quantity. Do you all still remember what is scalar and vector? Remember or not? What's the difference between scalar and vector? One of it got what and the other one don't have what? What's the main difference? Whether it has... No, both also got magnitude. Magnitude means the amount. Both also got number one. Scalar also got number, vector also got number. But vector got what? And then scalar don't have. Vector got something that scalar don't have one. Vector got? Don't remember? Hey, anyone? Direction, correct. This one, chapter 1, exam will come on. Chapter 1 exam will ask vector got direction, which means it has plus and minus. Okay? Scalar don't have direction one. Scalar only got number only. All right? So, period is a scalar because time cannot have direction. Time is always moving in one direction only. Okay? So time cannot have negative one. Yeah? Okay. Next, based on the diagram 11.1 and 11.2, contrast the mass of the two plasticine balls used. Contrast means compare. Okay? Contrast means compare. Yeah, so you just treat it as a normal compare question. The mass in diagram 1.1 is 50 grams. The mass in diagram 1.2 is 200 grams. So you can say mass of plasticine in diagram 1.2 is greater than 1.1. Okay? Now, of course, you can always say 1.1 is smaller than 1.2. Okay? Yeah, but greater is quite easy to say lah. Yeah, greater is you confirm is surely correct on this word. Okay, no need to worry about like taller or longer or higher, which one can use. No, just always use greater only. Then you'll be correct already. Okay, next. Based on diagram 1.1 and 1.2, contrast or compare the period of oscillation. Period for diagram 1.2 is 2 seconds. Period for diagram 1.1 is 1 second. So period of oscillation in diagram 1.2 is greater than 1.1. Yeah. Next one, state the physics concept involved in answer above. We already know already. We are talking about inertia. Okay. Next one. The property in which a body resists change from states of rest or motion is known as inertia. Based on diagram in B, blah, 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 state the relationship between the inertia and mass. Okay. So we know that the greater the inertia, the greater the mass, right? Yeah. So you just write lah. Hey, sorry, the greater the mass, the greater the inertia. You don't write the opposite way, Don't write the opposite way because the mass affects the inertia, not the other way around. So the greater the mass, the greater the inertia. Like that. Okay, next. Why does a super tanker, you know what super tanker or not? Super tanker is the big ship that carries a lot of things and a very, very heavy ship. Why must it stop its engine very far, even though it haven't reached the port yet, even though it haven't reached the land yet? It must stop the engine already. Because again, big mass, big inertia, harder to stop. Okay, you must mention it's harder to stop lah because of the inertia. So you say the super tanker has a large mass. Okay, then you say the effect of inertia causes it to be harder to stop. Okay, the effect of inertia causes it to be harder to stop. Okay, easy, right? Yeah, and you notice the whole question asking the same thing again and again and again and again. Okay. All right, now another essay question. So we have a petrol tanker truck. This one from Shell. Okay. Suggests a safety design of the loaded truck to transport fuel safely. Your answer should be based on the following aspects. Okay. Number one. Okay. If we have essay, do we do table? It's one of the options. Okay. It's one of the options. The table is up to you one, right? So you can write table. So just draw exactly like this, and then you do characteristics on one side, and then you do reason on the other side. Okay. Another way is, of course, you can just write short paragraph. You say the tanker should have what? This is because blah 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 blah. Then the next one, the tanker should have what? This is because blah 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 blah. The tanker should have this. This is because blah blah blah. Okay, this is another method for you to do. So these two methods is entirely up to you. Yeah, whichever one you are more comfortable with. All right. If you're too lazy to draw table, then you write short paragraph. If you think you don't want to write so many words, then you draw table. Okay? Yeah? So both also acceptable. All right, what can you tell me about the compartment of the lorry? This one. What can you tell me about how should you design this tank? Give me some ideas to design the tank so that it is safer. Okay, so divide into different section lah, huh? Is it correct? Yeah. So you can say divide the tank into multiple compartments. compartments. Or you can say divide the tank into multiple sections. You can say add dividers inside the tank. Anything that says what we're trying to say lah. Okay. Now the reason is because, right, when you split the field into smaller groups, then the effect of inertia is not so much. Okay. Every small portion of field, when they hit the wall, they be like, "Aya," like that. But instead, if let's say you don't have a divider, then the whole thing is one big liquid. Then when it hit the wall, it will be like, oh, like that. Okay, so you have to divide it to smaller compartments lah. So you can say reduce the effect of inertia. Okay, reduce the effect of inertia. Okay, next, what kind of braking system would you suggest so that the lorry can actually brake safely, especially during what? Especially during emergency braking. What kind of braking system can we have? Anyone know? I actually told you all before one. I said last time only certain cars got only. But now all cars also got this system already. Yeah, correct. It is ABS. Okay? Yeah, if you don't know how to write the full name, then you just write ABS system lah, okay? But the full name stands for anti-lock braking system. Okay? ABS. Now, this anti-lock braking system does what? Basically, right, it helps you to stop without skidding. You know what skidding? Skidding means like you slip and then your car go like that. Yeah, basically your car will start to slide. Because if you emergency brake, then your tires will basically get pop. You just hold the tire cannot spin, then you start to slide on your tire. But the anti-lock braking system is a computer that will don't let you fully brake. Yeah, even you step the pedal until maximum already, the computer will say, "Oh no, don't let him hold the tire. I let go the tire a little bit so that at least the tire can continue to spin a bit, even though you're trying to stop." Because this is better for you to control the car. Okay, you don't just lock the tire and then the tire start to slide like that. This one is better. Okay, so you can say the lorry can stop safely without skidding. Just skidding like that. Skidding means sliding. Okay. Next one, the gap between the truck and the fuel tank. So do you see there is a gap in between this tanker and the truck here? Why do we need the gap there? Should we have a bigger gap or should we have a smaller gap? And let me tell you, this is not about inertia anymore. Because if you want to prevent inertia, you got to put a piece of metal here so that the thing doesn't hit to the front. But this is about the gap. Why do I need a gap? This is more about common sense already. Less about inertia, more about common sense already. Why do I need a gap in between the head and the tail? Why leh? Why will touch leh? Prevent touching, when will it touch? When will it touch? When do I need that gap to prevent touching? Sudden stop? No. Not because sudden stop. What else? Again, like I said, it's about common sense one. You don't overthink about inertia and all that stuff. It's about common sense. Why does the lorry need to have a gap between the head and the, we call it a trailer. The tank is called trailer. It's the same idea as why the train cannot be one long train, but we must have few smaller trains, few smaller train carriage instead of one long train carriage. It's the same idea one. Yeah, correct. It is easier to do what? It's easier to turn. Okay? So when your head and your body are too close together, then you cannot turn already, ma. You must turn the whole thing together already, ma. Then it's same like a whole one long train. So if you split into two, then if you have a gap, your head can turn first, then only your body turn later, right? So you can say bigger gap between truck and fuel tank so that it is easier to turn. Okay, easier to turn. All right, what else can you tell me about the lorry? Normally lorry, what else can you, what other suggestions can you give me to keep the lorry safer or to make it better for the lorry? What else can you tell me? Okay, wheels. That's a good direction. What can you tell me about the wheels? What can you tell me about the wheels? Anything about the wheels? Any ideas? What should we design? What kind of design? Like what should we add to the wheels, or what should we remove from the wheels? Cannot just say wheels, what? Right. Okay, more wheels, that's one. More wheels is one thing. Bigger wheels, okay, bigger wheels also can. Wider wheels also can, yeah, wider wheels, more wheels, bigger wheels, wider wheels, okay, yeah. Heavy duty wheels, okay, yeah, sure, can also. Okay, the pattern on the wheels, you mean the wheel, the tire treads, right? The tire treads give more grip, okay, very good. So you can say a lot of things now, right? You can say use more wheels, okay, so that we can have what? We can have lesser pressure on each tire, because you basically split the load already, ma. You divide the load between every wheel already, ma. So more wheels means lesser pressure for each wheel. Okay. You could also say tires with treads. Basically, the pattern is called treads, Treads. Okay, same thing like your shoes also got treads. So the tires with treads, right, is to provide more grip, but only on a slippery surface. Okay, provide more grip on a slippery surface, because on a normal dry day, right, actually we don't need the treads one. The treads actually make it worse because you have lesser wheel on the ground. But when it's wet, then yes, you need the pattern, because the pattern can push through the water. Okay. Now I'll give you one more. This one is specifically for fuel tanks one. Specifically for fuel tanker. You can say you want a small belt under the lorry. Okay. What is a small belt under the lorry? It could be a chain, it could be an actual belt, it's just something, right, that connects the lorry, and then I just put it underneath the lorry so that it touches the ground. Any idea what is this for? Anyone knows what is this for? It needs to touch the ground. and it's specifically very important for fuel tankers. Do you know? No. Not for balance. Not for balance. It's just like basically the lorry like that, right? Yeah. And then I can have just one thing like that. Just touching the ground. Okay, you see, fuel is dangerous because it can explode. All right. And what will cause it to explode? Fire or a spark. And you know what can cause a spark or not? Whenever you walk, and then you touch something metal, you suddenly feel the pzzz. That is a spark. Because there is static, right? There's static charge on top of the lorry. As the lorry move, there's static charge here and there. So if you don't want the static charge, right, you must actually pass the charge to the ground. You must let the charge flow into the ground. Okay? So that's what the belt is for. It is to discharge the charges to prevent sparks. Okay? So next time you touch your friend, right? And you touch your friend, suddenly you shock. That shock is actually a spark, you know? That shock can actually start a fire one. It can actually start a fire. Okay? So that's why we need to try to remove as much of this static charge as possible so that it doesn't spark.